Do you find it just a tad interesting that Deutsche Bank, that massive German bank, is getting back into the gold business after an 8-year hiatus? Because they got into a little trouble for manipulating the markets, but now they want back into the precious metals market. Hey, on the surface, right? That's good news for precious metals. But if we dig a little deeper, if we take out our flashlights and shine around, maybe look under the surface at what really is going on, it becomes downright fascinating. It looks like there's big things going on in the world of precious metals right now. We're going to take our flashlights, you and me, we're going to look around. Let's do it right now. Let's run through the facts, and then we'll do the fun stuff. We'll look around and try to put the puzzle pieces together. But according to Kitco, German financial institution Deutsche Bank wants a seat at the gold table again. Now, just on the surface, that's good news, guys, because 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a lot of the banks were saying, we're not going to mess around with precious metals anymore. Suddenly, German giant bank Deutsche Bank wants back into the precious metals market. They have applied to rejoin our friends at the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association. We know how corrupt that place is, but nonetheless, Deutsche Bank wants back in. This is all according to Bloomberg. Now, here's a real interesting point. The people at Deutsche Bank said, this brings us into line with other banks that offer precious metals services. They want to be back with the other banks in the gold, silver, platinum, palladium market. But the really interesting point is where they mention there's growing client demand for services in this area. Music to our ears, right? The rest of the article just goes on to talk about these facts that we already know, that Deutsche Bank had been kicked out of the gold market because they were manipulating the price, and then how after Deutsche Bank settled all these big lawsuits, all these other lawsuits came up. We know the JP Morgan stuff. I'm sure, I am absolutely confident that those fine people at the LBMA have cleaned up all the corruption and everything is on the up and up right now. Next, we're going to talk about the real reasons why this may be going on. Why is Deutsche Bank now suddenly wanting to get back into the gold market? And it is fascinating. First, thank you for joining me. You right now, right here in Ron's basement. You are somewhere in the world. This is my right now, but it's your right now as you're watching, and I'm glad you're here. It truly is an honor. We navigate these choppy waters in the gold, silver, precious metal mining stock arena. We do it together. We dive deeper. We're a real elite small group of people in the world who invest in these areas, but we are a group. So welcome. I hope you feel like you found a new home away from home. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. Turn on the ring-a-ling-ding-a-ling bell. Now let's get into this interesting analysis as to why this is going on. Do you find it very, very interesting that this move by Deutsche Bank is happening as we're hearing more and more around the world about gold being used as a medium for settlement of trade? We've heard speculation from Credit Suisse that possibly the Russians could be in the process of pegging their oil to gold, and that could send gold flying. I made another video about that you can watch if you have time. But I find it real interesting that the Germans, who traditionally had been extremely reliant upon the Russians for their energy, and the Germans are suffering right now in a big, big way with an energy crisis, that they're now suddenly becoming more and more interested in gold. Now, it may just be a crackpot conspiracy theory, but we're hearing all these countries around the world talking about using gold to buy oil. We're hearing it from African countries, and we're hearing about gold becoming this basis, right, for a new alternative world currency to help settle trade. Why don't you shine your flashlight over at the German Central Bank and you'll discover something very interesting. We see that the German Central Bank loves gold. They hold almost 3,400 tons of gold, almost half as much as the United States of America. So the Germans put a high priority on the value of gold. And have you heard of these people who speculate, I'll emphasize speculate, that Europe as a whole could be preparing to move back to a gold standard, revaluing their gold to deal with the mountain of debt that they have accrued. They're even worse than the United States of America in that regard. And the evidence of that could be, and this is super interesting, when you look at the gold held by the central banks of the major European economies, Germany, France, Italy, all of them, the amount of gold held by their central banks is directly proportionate, pretty darn close to their GDPs when you compare them to one another. Nothing to look at there, right? And I think you need to be a European to understand how they look at gold and silver, for that matter, much differently than us here in the United States of America. Germans, the Europeans, they've been through mass currency devaluations. They've been through horrible war situations. They have a much greater respect and appreciation for the precious metals and the protection that they provide. And I'll end with this, the grand finale. I had a lengthy conversation with the chief executive officer of a $1.2 billion market cap precious metals mining company. That conversation was last week. One of the things that really stuck out to me was when he said in his 17 years of attending mining conferences, mining precious metal conferences, he had never seen the level of enthusiasm and attendance as one that he had just recently attended in where? Germany. Let me know what you think, because when I shine my flashlight around, it becomes very interesting beyond that surface level news that, oh, Deutsche Bank is getting back into the gold market. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes and under the surface. And haven't we learned that that's always the case? I think this is good, big, positive news for the price of gold, for the price of silver. One thing for sure, we're going to find out, and I will be here for you. My intention is to be here every day. You got a new friend. I'll see you soon.